What is going on? Another show. Had to take last week off because I was sick, unfortunately, but we are back. Episode 9 of VIPE, Buck Talk Live, the Monday show, June 28th, 2021. As always, I'm Wac. That's Scotty T. Scotty, how we doing on this Monday?
I had to make sure I unmuted myself this time because I haven't done that in the past. So I'm doing really good this Monday, Josh. I am back from Colorado. As you saw last episode, which was 2 weeks ago now, I had the beautiful mountains, and now I just have my hello friends and my beautiful office quote of, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, Wayne Gretzky / Michael Scott. So happy Monday, Wac. I'm doing good. How was your weekend, brother?
Hey, it was pretty good. Had one of those kind of relaxing type weekends, except for, yesterday obviously was as kind of running the VIPE Awards, making sure that stream went smoothly, which thankfully it did, and what a great awards it was. And so got that taken care of and done, and now we are off and running, if you will. So, Scotty, you had some kind of almost big news yesterday, didn't you?
I did. Well, first off, VIPE Awards last night went really well. Congratulations to all the athletes who won those awards. It's been a great year. This year I think it's been special, one that people are going to talk a lot about because we've talked a lot about this already, but sports didn't happen last year. It got cut short. And so, especially for the spring sports, starting with baseball, softball, track and field, to be able to complete those seasons was fantastic. And so big shouts to TAPS, UIL, SBC for making it happen for all the student athletes. And it's always fun when that award show, you have Randy McElroy from Channel 2, Todd Freed, H-Town High School Sports, Matt Malatesta, Chief Content Officer here at VIPE Media. Just a really great night to celebrate all the accomplishments from the student athletes here. Also, quick note, we had 2 Gatorade National Players of the Years in Houston. I don't know if that's a record or anything like that, but you had Alec Baton-Horst of Seven Lakes volleyball winning Gatorade Player of the Year, leading Seven Lakes to the state championship. Then Sophia Simpson over at Barbers Hill softball, leading Barbers Hill to state championship. So that's pretty cool. What'd you think about that? How do you think VIPE Awards went? And then we'll talk about the other thing.
Yeah, I think VIPE Awards went really well. We had some big winners. I felt maybe a couple of upsets here and there, but I think that's one of the good things about awards, right? It's subjective in a sense. I mean, you come down to 3 finalists, and the finalists are all, you could really go either way on a lot of them. And so, Matt and Josh, and I think maybe you had some input as well. Y'all definitely didn't have an easy job to do that. So. Yeah, I think the awards were great. I think it was great to kind of have a full season of awards to give out compared to last year, for instance. So, good job all around on that end. Scotty, I know you want to talk a little. Let's have you talk a little bit of golf here for a second. While we do have our guest on for today. While you talk some golf, I'm going to get him set up and good to go. So that way, when you're done talking, we can get him on the show.
That's right. So this is also kind of my one good thing. So spoiler alert for that a little bit later. But not sure if you follow the PGA Tour or not. But last night there was a 8-hole playoff at the Travelers Championship in Cromwell, Connecticut. And it was between Harris English and a guy you probably never heard of. His name is Kramer Hickok. Now, this was special to me because I'm actually friends with Kramer. I've known Kramer for a number of years now, and he played golf at Texas. If you watched any of the broadcasts, you're like, oh, his buddy Jordan Spieth. Yes, they're actually friends. They were roommates at Texas together. Known Kramer for a long time, and so this is really his breakout moment, and he birdied the 18th hole to make it into the playoff. He's in the final group with Bubba Watson. And I actually, so he was leading after round 1. He was tied for the lead. I actually texted him and I was like, hey man, great playing today. Keep it up. He gave me the like. I was like, awesome. But then as the week progresses, I see he keeps going in the lead. I don't want to text him after that because it's like somebody throwing a no-hitter. I didn't want to say anything. He's in the zone, want to do his thing. And it was electric, man. I wish he would have won 8 playoff holes, as we mentioned. I mean, that thing took 2.5 hours for the playoff, which is just crazy town. So Kramer, he's a Texas guy. We cover high school sports here in the state of Texas. Kramer's a Texas guy. He went to Trinity Christian Academy in Addison. So that's how in the Dallas golf scene, the junior golf scene, there's a lot of players who've come up kind of the same era that I did in the junior golf scene who have made it into the PGA Tour and really have become household names. The first and foremost being Jordan Spieth. Jordan Spieth, he went to Dallas Jesuit, UT. He's a household name. Everybody knows him. Most recently, though, you have Scotty Scheffler, who went to Highland Park. You have Will Zalatoris, took the world by storm at the Masters this year. There's a great article on Vype.com about it. So Will Zalatoris, he played high school golf with Kramer Hickok, too. So that's pretty fun seeing all those guys come together. I think there are a few more people who are up and coming that I'm probably forgetting off the top of my head. But those are so Scotty, Jordan, and Will, already household names. And it's fun seeing Kramer kind of make his way up through the ranks. Literally, he has started from the bottom. He's like the dream that every person who pursues professional golf aspires to. He started off in the mini tours. He won there. Okay, great. He goes up to Canada, PGA Tour Canada, which is like the equivalent of single A or double A baseball. He wins the Canadian Player of the Year in Canada. Then he goes up to the Corn Ferry Tour, does well there, gets his card, the AAA version of golf, gets his card. And then he goes up to the PGA Tour. Doesn't have a great season, or he plays okay, loses his card. He has to go back down the Corn Ferry, but gets his card back. And so he's been kind of on again, off again here. Played well up at Colonial about a month ago. And now seeing him in the final group with Bubba Watson, 2-time Masters champion, beats him, but then is in that playoff, as mentioned, just pretty electric. Those guys are just grinding back and forth, trading haymakers. That was a lot of fun to watch. I wish, obviously, Kramer would have won selfishly, but it was fun seeing Kramer break through onto that national stage. And I texted him this morning. I was like, hey, man, sky's the limit for you. Great things are around the corner for Kramer. So pretty awesome to see him in the final group on my TV when we've known him for a long time. So congratulations to Kramer Hickok. And he had got a pretty nice payday, though. I'll tell you that. And I don't know if you saw the video, but he had like a little he just got a puppy, and his wife, who he married this year, they had a puppy, or she brought his puppy onto the green. So not only was the whole family there, but he got like little kisses and licks from the puppy. So that was pretty cool. So congrats to Kramer.
Yeah, and he lost, but he had to drain like a 20-foot putt just to get into that next hole. I think it was the next hole, the hole after they eventually lost on. So I mean, just to stay alive in those 8 playoff holes was me and you were talking like, man, I love sports, man, and that's one of the reasons why. So we do have our next guest, or we have our first guest in a while on with us right now. We were going to talk last week, but of course I got sick, so we had to push it back. Scotty, I will need you to join that Zoom link I sent you, and hopefully we can fix those audio issues because he could not hear you talking when he was on. So go ahead and do that now while I introduce this man. And he'll tell you, he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure he's been broadcasting and doing all this stuff for 30 plus years easily. He is a man that knows how to do it all. He is our broadcast director for VIPE. He is Merle Bertrand. Merle, how are you doing today?
I'm good, Josh. Good to be with you. I'm old, but I'm not quite that old. I've been doing it for about 14 years, something like that. Feels like 30 sometimes, but yeah, thanks for having me on board today.
Yeah, we were going to talk a little last week. Of course, I got sick, so we had to cancel the show. But some big news.
Likely excuse,
right? Thankfully, I was a little cautious, so I actually went and got tested for COVID, came back negative. So thankfully, it wasn't that. I think it was just something I had eaten the night before. And I'm also sorry to be a little rude. I am checking my phone, making sure that we can hear you. Sweet. Oh wait, we can hear you, so we're all good there. So I think it was something I ate the night before. But the reason I wanted to get you on was that big UIL news dropped last week, which was they are going to allow for the second year in a row the capability to live stream on Friday nights, which before they haven't let us do. So just talk to us a little bit about what that means for just Friday Night Lights in general, and then for VIPE and stuff like that?
Yeah, awesome decision by them. I mean, obviously, I had a vested interest in it, as we all did. We're the broadcasting, VIPE, all the competitors out there, even the mom and pops that kind of stream it themselves. I, People like to give the UIL a hard time, just like they like to give officials a hard time. I would not want that job. And those guys and gals did a great job coming together. I think they realized the benefit. It would have been very difficult to put that genie back in the bottle. But I think they realized the benefit. The fear that they had was that people would stay away. They would rather stay home and watch the broadcast instead of coming out to a football game. And I've always thought I understood the logic of it. It kind of goes back to TV and the blackout rules and that kind of thing. But nobody is not going to go to a high school football game because they can watch it online. The comparison just isn't the same. All the excitement, all the energy, all the pomp and circumstances of being out there live. I've come out of the broadcast booth before, walking down the bleachers at the end of the night, and I'm kind of like, man, I wish I could have been out here because it feels good. And I think they did the right thing for all those people that can't be there, all the grandparents and uncles and aunts and former players that are off in college now that they want to be able to check in and see how the high school is doing. All those folks will now be able to watch it on Friday night, and I think that's awesome. And kudos to the OIL for allowing that to happen again this year.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head there, is that this isn't so much for the fans that would be in the stands anyways. It's for those that can't make it for whatever reason, whether it's getting up there in age, the distance to drive, what have you. And I think it is the right move. It is something that UIL allows for all the other sports anyways already. And so I think it's just go ahead, Merle.
And I was just going to say, and they allow it on Thursday nights and Saturday afternoons. It was only on Friday night that it was prohibited. So it's nice to see that roadblock kind of removed.
Now, of course, they did say in the meeting it is for this year only. Do you foresee after this year it becoming just a regular staple and they eventually just make this rule permanent?
I would hope that they do. I think they're going to be watching the attendance and see if there is any sort of a noticeable decline. I don't think there will be, just because if anything, people are going to be so anxious to get back out there because they were at best at half capacity in the stadiums last year. So I think people are going to jump at the opportunity to get back out there. And I think that I hope that once the UIL realizes that people are still going to the game, even though it's available to watch live on Friday night, that they'll go ahead and keep the restrictions removed permanently and allow that to happen on Friday night. They'll be watching it pretty closely and they'll make the best decision for what they think is best for the student athletes and the communities, like they always do. And, we'll be looking at it again over next summer, I'm sure.
Again, I think you nailed it completely, where I don't think you're going to see a decline in person, attendance. And of course, I think, again, like you said, some of that's going to be because people are going to be so excited to be back. Yeah. But if given the chance, people are going to choose to go in person and then watch it online any day. I think that, and now some of it gives it the opportunity to go back and be like, oh man, my son had this great catch. Now I can go back and watch it, and stuff like that. So I think that's one of the benefits of doing, some of the live streaming. And I do hope UIL, personally, lifts the rules after the 21-22 season. And pretty big news for us, this year we're joining up with Flow Sports to do our live streaming. You want to go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing thing. Of course, Flow Sports has been around for a long time, based here in Austin. They got their start, I think, doing a lot of college sports that didn't receive the mainstream attention that a lot of people did. And they've kind of built out from there a national broadcast platform that is available, all across the country. So it's going to be a great opportunity for those Texas high school students, starting off with football and volleyball, of course, in the fall, but we're going to be broadcasting year round other sports as well. A chance for, people that are familiar with Flow to go on their platform, and these athletes will get a chance to get exposure all across the country that they might not have had, even though, internet is literally worldwide. Flow is a nationally recognized brand name. VIPE is trying to get there. So I think it's a good partnership between the two companies to come together and give these athletes exposure all across the country. Their recruiters can see them in action live. And, it's just anytime you can enhance visibility for high school athletics, I think it's a good thing. And I think it's a perfect partnership to take advantage of that.
Completely agree. Flow is just right on the money. I always known them for the Flow track and Flow wrestling. That's how I
Right,
knew Flow
right.
personally. But I think it's going to be a huge partnership, and I can't wait to see what we do out of it. One more question before I let you go, Merle, and that's just
Sure.
give the audience a little tease of what we can expect outside of Flow. What can we expect from Vipe Live this year?
I think you're gonna see a lot of what we saw last year. Last year was our busiest year ever, and again, I think a lot of it had to do with COVID, as we did a lot of streaming for middle school and JV kind of stuff. I think you're going to see a lot of that, but I think you're going to see that expansion continuing into the other sports. There's other companies out there will broadcast football because everybody loves to broadcast football, just like we love to broadcast football. But there are so many athletes competing in all sorts of sports: volleyball, girls and boys basketball, baseball, softball, wrestling, lacrosse. We kind of did it all last year. Some of it because we wanted to, some of it out of necessity. Sometimes both of those interests kind of came together. But I think you're going to see more of that this year, where Vype tries to, and we saw it on the award show, that comprehensive award show that Vype put together in Houston that was available last night, that streamed live. You can go back and check that out. If you do, you'll notice TAPS, UIL, all the private schools in all the sports, all those athletes receive recognition. And, as a former cross country runner and a former band geek myself, that is awesome that I think Vype is able to do that like no other company can, to get out there and get exposure and get coverage to those athletes who work just as hard in all those other sports, in addition to football, that gets all the love. It's great to see Vype provide that opportunity to get those sports on the air as well.
Completely agree. We're not just a one sport, stop. We'll do anything. I mean, we did track, we did swimming. Hey, you name it, we'll do it. And I think that's what I love about our company is we're not afraid to go out there and try something new with the sport, because at the end of the day, it's about getting those athletes the recognition they deserve. So, Merle,
And just jumping onto that, with the content that Matt and Derek and you and Josh Cook and everybody provides, in addition to the broadcast, I think the two really kind of go hand in hand and complement each other. The content and the publicity and the interviews and the photo shoots, complemented by the broadcast. I think it's a great 1-2 punch.
completely agree. Well, Merle, I thank you for taking the time to join us on our show today, and have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, you too, and hopefully we'll get to talk to you once things kick off here in 8 scary weeks. We'll be back up and running again. Take care, Josh.
You as well. You as well. Thank you, Merle. Well, everyone, that was Merle Bertrand. He is our broadcast director of Vype. Scotty, we could not. This is the first time we were trying out Merle joined us by Zoom, and that was the first time we really had tried that out. So, I'm still figuring out the audio issues there. So Scotty couldn't jump on with us, but he is back now. Scotty, let me ask you. We got to talk with Merle a little bit. Are you excited about this move about UIL bringing in the live streams for Friday nights?
Oh, definitely, 100%. I think obviously here at Vype, it's in best interest. It's in the best interest for a bunch of other media companies who cover high school sports. I think it's going to be great for the fans, though. I really do, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but in the past or currently, UIL was already allowing streaming for Thursday and Saturday night games. And I was always just kind of confused as to why they wouldn't do Friday nights. And I get the whole protect Friday night lights. Friday Night Lights is Texas high school football. It's football across the country, but it's Texas high school football in particular. So I get why they're protective of that. But colleges also kind of ran into this problem a while back. Whenever TV rights and broadcasting rights were first coming up, people wanted to go to the games, as we have found out that you can still sell out the stadiums as well as get that TV revenue coming in. So I think high school and the UIL will see that. It's just kind of taken a long time to get there, but I'm glad we're finally here. And those are my thoughts. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, and that's something Merle brought up in the interview I had with him as well. But yeah, I completely agree. I think it's long past due. And yes, we're saying this is biased because we do live streams on Friday nights. There's a little bias in there, right? But I think it's long past due. There have been plenty of times, before I joined the Vype team where, my old alma mater was in the playoffs or even just having a big game on a Friday night, and I wanted to, it's like, oh, could I watch this? I was like, no, I gotta find, the beat writer that's maybe covering the game or whatever, and just follow it on Twitter. So I'm glad they're doing this. Like you said, we brought up in our interview, they've been doing it for the other sports. So I'm glad they're finally, hopefully, again, it's just for 1 year. They're gonna revisit this again next year, but hopefully after this year, they're going to see, okay, let's go ahead and lift this thing and make it full time.
Yeah, I think so too. It's like you said, it's a good thing overall. Just put a bow on it. It's a good thing. I think people are going to like it. And also, I think opening up this Pandora's box will open up the door for innovation as well. And, one thing here that we found at VIPE is that a lot of, brands and other companies, yes, you have your local mom and pop shops that, support the booster clubs. This is another way to support the high school, is to help broadcast this, and then that will lead to innovation, to lead to better broadcast and get more people to tune in. That's why I'm so excited for this partnership with Flow that we have landed with VIPE and Flow Sports this year, because that will help just reach us more high school kids, bring more exposure, and overall it's going to be a great thing.
Couldn't have said it better myself. And once again, thanks to Merle Bertrand for joining us and taking the time to talk about that. Again, we would have talked last week, but I was under the weather, so postpone the show. You got to do those things sometimes. Time to move on to our favorite segment of the show. You know what that means. It's time for Who's That Mascot. Every week I give Scotty T 3 teams, and he has just the name of the school, and he has to tell me who that mascot is. Last week, or 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, you finally hit that goose egg of 0 for 3. So time for a little. Now you just basically evened out that average back to the 1/3. It's time to see what you can do this week. I don't know how you're gonna do this week on these. I think there's a potential for another goose egg. We'll see though. There's a couple of teams where if you've been paying attention to sports recently, you should get at least one right. I'll say that. All right, you ready for the first one?
I will say, when I was driving back from Colorado, which I did drive, just for the record, with my wife and mother-in-law, you drive through a lot of small towns up in the Panhandle and whatnot. I was really trying to pay attention to the mascots of all of them. So maybe I get lucky.
All right, well, here is your first one. As always, I'll give you the name of the school, I'll give you the timer, and you got 10 seconds. All right, Scotty, your first school is Comfort.
Owls.
Comfort Owls?
Owls, yes.
All right. That is incorrect. The Comfort Bobcats. The Comfort Bobcats. Okay. Now, these next two, I feel these next two are the two that you have the best chance of getting. Okay. Now, this next one, do you want a hint on this next one?
Sure, yeah.
This next one is one of the most unique names a school has for their mascot. All right, here we go. Lanier, San Antonio team.
Lightfoots. I don't know.
Lightfoots.
I didn't know. That's not right.
That is incorrect. They are the Lanier Vokes. One of the most unique mascot names you will ever have.
I buy that.
It's funny. I thought about coming up with a unique list, unique mascot list, but never yet. And then they obviously would have been one top one. So I guess I'm glad I didn't, because you got it wrong. Last one. If you've been paying attention to championships, you will get this one right. All right, Malakoff. They just beat London in the 3A baseball final.
Trojans.
That is incorrect. The
Malakoff
Tigers. Malakoff Tigers.
No.
They beat the London Pirates in the 3A baseball championship in a dramatic fashion. They were the ones that won because of the walk-off walk, where they got.
That's right.
Yes. So another goose egg. I thought you could have gotten those last two right, but no dice on this one.
I'm gonna have to start doing my homework here. Like you're picking them out from the clouds from the tree, And I got to do my homework now. I'm going to do some research on Texas high school mascots. And for those who are watching right now, comment below because I am below the 1/3 mark now for the season. I don't know what our average would be. We'll have to go back and figure it out, but
it's not good. It's not good now.
Bro, I'm over 6 the last 2 shows. This is not good.
Are, yeah. Before we get to our one good thing segment, we have our final San Antonio and Austin baseball and softball rankings. Now for this one, I decided to. Exactly, drum roll. I decided to combine Austin and San Antonio for the final rankings. So take that with what you will, people. So we have the private sector. We have 1A through 4A, and then we have 5A and 6A. So we'll start off with private softball. And here are the final rankings for this year for Austin and San Antonio for private softball. Got Holy Cross coming in at number 1, Sacred Heart coming in at number 2, Antonian coming in at number 3, Cornerstone Christian coming in at 4, and then Hill Country Christian coming in at number 5. 1 and 2 each one state. Now Cornerstone Christian, they only ended the season I think with like 3 or 4 losses, something like that. But they didn't play for a championship, and so I had to dock them for that. So because they're not in TAPS or SBC or anything like that, so they're kind of independent, if you will. They didn't play for a championship. I feel like I had to dock them. You're going to see that with the private baseball as well. So sorry, Cornerstone Christian, but I had to do it.
Man, yeah, like I said, I mean, anytime anybody wins a state championship, it's always a good thing. So, boom.
Yeah, exactly. So had to reward those that won it all. Of course, I think Cornerstone Christian was in some type of playoff. They probably would have won it all, but can't play the if games. So moving on to 1A and 4A softball. Again, this is Austin and San Antonio combined. Number 1, we got the Weimar Wildcats. Number 2, Lake Belton. 3 is Bernie. 4 is Hallettsville. 5 is Little River Academy. 6 is Fredericksburg. 7 is East Central. 8 is Smithville. 9 is Taylor. And 10 is Charlotte. Those are your 1 through 10. Weimar was champion, if I'm not mistaken. So they get the number 1 spot. I'll go ahead and check that right now. But what do you think about these rankings, Scotty?
I didn't really keep up as much with the 1A through 4A. So, no, I think he did. I think Wilmer was right in terms of the softball rankings. And, just especially with the rankings, it's harder, I think, because it's final season, and especially through the 1A through 4A, it's like, okay, who wins state? But if a 4A school who makes it, to the state semis or whatnot, how would you rank that against a 2A school who won state? Because it's kind of hard to gauge. So I think you did a good job with that, though, Josh.
A little correction, Weimar, they were state runners, or they were in 3rd, 4th, whatever you want to call it. They lost in the semis to eventual champion Sanford. So they did lose to Stanford. So they did lose to the champions, but they didn't win it all. And then Lake Belton, if I'm not mistaken, they're a fairly new school overall. So in all their sports, you can see that this is going to be a team in all their sports you're going to want to be paying attention to. So got our final rankings right there. All right. And then for the 5A, 6A softball, Austin San Antonio rankings. Judson, number 1, of course, coming up just shy of the championship, losing to Deer Park, who their coach, if I'm not mistaken, won the Coach of the Year for softball on last night's award show. Number 2 is Georgetown, who beat Leander to get to the state semis. What a quote unquote upset that was. We talked about that on the show. Leander coming in number 3, Bowie coming in at 4, Round Rock 5, O'Connor 6, New Braunfels Canyon 7, Medina Valley 8, Lake Travis 9, and Steele is 10. Outside of number 1, Austin was kind of the in the top 5, was kind of dominating the rankings there. Of course, Judson. They 1-0 is what they lost in the finals there, so they were right there, almost won it all.
Great season by Judson. Seriously, I mean, took Deer Park down to the wire. They had a phenomenal season. I don't know if they cruised through the playoffs per se, but I mean they won pretty handily, I would say, in most of their games. I mean they They beat some really good teams going to the finals. So big shouts to Judson. If I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, a fairly young team. So they should be a team to watch for next softball season. They got a few D1 commits on that roster that are coming back next year. So keep an eye out for Judson. I like how you touched on Georgetown because Leander was the #1 team in the country for a very long time. So the fact that Georgetown beat them, in my opinion, definitely was an upset. So congrats to the Georgetown Eagles for upsetting Leander. But so that's why we had to put them at #2 versus Leander being at #3.
That's right. Hey, you beat them last. I think that shows you got to
Sure
rate them
does.
ahead. So, but yeah, moving on to that baseball realm. Starting off with private baseball, Austin San Antonio rankings 1 through 5. Hill Country Christian gets the #1 spot. Jump Hall takes #2. Cornerstone Christian #3. Sacred Heart #4, and Central Catholic rounds out your top 5. Once again with Cornerstone Christian, it was one of those things where they only lost, I think, 2 or 3 games the whole year, but they didn't have a playoff, and I had to dock, whether right or wrong, I had to dock them for it. So
The playoffs, yeah, the playoffs matter. It's I don't know if this is a fair analogy or not, but the 2001 Mariners, the team who has won the most regular season games ever, still got knocked out by the Yankees in that playoff run as the Yankees went on to win the World Series. So I know at the end of the day, you might say, yeah, the Mariners had a better team, but the Yankees won when it mattered. So that's kind of I think that's kind of what your thought process is in that regard, right, Josh?
yes, that is correct. So
Sure.
it's what it is what it is. And if I'm not mistaken, Hill Country Christian did win state. So hey, you know, you got to give the ups to the winners. So actually, they lost in the semis, but still they got to the semis. So
Gotcha.
I should have had my notes with me. I had to go find my notes and look at it. So
That's okay. That's okay. You good? You good?
1A through 4A baseball, 1 through 10. Shiner comes in at #1. Cameron Yo, #2. Marion Bulldogs, #3. Geronimo Navarro, #4. Thrall, #5. Falls City, #6. Holland, #7. Kenny Lake comes in at 8. Lake Belton, #9. And Hondo rounds out your top 10. 1 through 9 all had some pretty decent runs, at least getting a few rounds deep into the playoffs. Shiner got, let me see where I have Shiner, where they finished. But you see anything about these that you disagree with, Scotty?
Nah, nothing really sticks out. I think you got pretty close. If you do have an issue with it, let us know in the comments. Boom. I'm watching the comments. All 4 people are watching right now.
Hey, it's I think Shine. Let's see, Shine. This is one thing I hate about being the producer and the and the host, if you will, is that sometimes I'm trying to look up stuff and I gotta talk as well. Let's see where Shiner Baseball finished here. Let me scroll down on my. So they ended up losing. That's right. They lost to New Deal, who are the eventual state champions in baseball.
Gotcha.
So Shiner came up just shy. And then finally, our 5A and 6A rankings. I think there will be no surprise about the top 2 when we look at them. Oh, hit the wrong one there. There we go. Rouse comes in
There
at
it is.
#1. Smithson Valley #2. Gypsy Springs #3. Round Rock 4. Reagan 5. Lake Travis 6. Cedar Park 7. Alamo Heights 8. Anderson 9. And San Antonio Johnson coming in at #10. So Rouse and Smithson Valley both made it to the tournament. They each lost before the final game, and it was tough. I went back and forth on who I should put in, whether it should be Rouse at #1, Smithson Valley at #2. If you want to come at me and say, hey, you should switch those 2 teams, I'm not going to disagree with you, but that's just how I ended up putting it.
I'm trying to. Who did Rouse lose to?
So Rouse lost to. I was there. I should know.
Wasn't Barbers Hill yet, right?
Smithson Valley, I believe, is the one that lost to Barbers Hill.
Well, Barbers Hill is 5A.
Then it was probably Rouse. Yes, it was Rouse. That's right.
No, so Rouse lost to Howesville.
Yeah, Rouse lost to Howesville. That means Smithson Valley, I think, lost to. Barbersdale, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember.
Who won 6A?
6A. Let me think.
Was it Farm? No.
No, it was. Hold on.
Oh, it was
It was
Keller.
Rockwall Heath. Rockwall Heath, and that's who lost.
Rockwall Heath played Keller.
Rockwall Heath beat Smithson Valley, and then they ended up winning against Keller. So there you go. It's been a few weeks since I've been at state. It's like all the teams were jumbled up there. So, but yeah, and
Right.
again, if you want to argue with me about who won what or who should have been where, hey, you're not gonna, and honestly, really the only reason that I put Rouse ahead of Smithson Valley is because they did have a head-to-head earlier in the season that Rouse won 2-1. So, it's not a great method because they played here you go, they played all the way back in March, so very early into the season. But like I said, it was a coin toss, so I gave it to them based on the head-to-head. So there you go.
Yeah, I think my thoughts are really, Smithson Valley was up pretty high in our rankings throughout the year. So, if you want to put them at 1, great. Yeah, like I said, you can flip those. Rouse was a hot team, though. Like, they weren't necessarily ranked. Them and Dripping Springs both weren't really ranked. I know Dripping Springs was ranked throughout the year, but Rouse was kind of in and out. But they just got hot at the right time. So putting them at number 1, I think, is pretty good considering how hot they were whenever the season was going on. And then they just lost a really good house team or house girl team.
We slept on Rouse, and maybe this is a way.
Yeah.
Maybe this is my subconscious saying, "Sorry, Rouse." Not giving them the respect they deserve throughout the season, because we did have them ranked early in the rankings, and they eventually fell out. We never put them back in. So definitely deserving of the number 1 spot. Smithson Valley definitely deserving of number 2. And as you can see, one more time, I'll put them up there for you. I think you can't make really any argument with the teams that we have up there in the rankings. So those are our final rankings for the baseball and softball season. We will be doing rankings for at least Austin and San Antonio come football and volleyball season, maybe Dallas as well. We're still working on all that. So be looking out for these rankings. We'll put an article up either today or tomorrow about that. And then we'll have some preseason rankings we'll need to discuss and get out to you, the viewers here. And like Merle said, that's basically 8 weeks away. So, you take a breath and look, close your eyes, and all of a sudden football season's right around the corner. And I can't wait because I love football.
Oh yeah. Volleyball season's even right before that too. They're starting their preseason tournaments here first, second week of August. So they are right around the corner. We just did the volleyball photo shoot here in Houston a couple weeks ago. We got football going on. First day was Thursday, and then we have tomorrow and Wednesday continue on here in Houston. So stay tuned for dates throughout the state as we will be doing our photo shoots there. So, really that kind of puts the bow on the school year with the VIPE Awards being last night and whatnot. The UIL calendar 2020-2021 year is done. Congrats to all. We made it. And quick turnaround, man. We're already planning for 21-22.
That's right. And before our show is done for today, we got to, of course, do the last segment of the show. And that's one good thing. That's where we tell you, the viewer, one good thing we saw, heard, whatever it may be this past week. So, Scotty, I know what yours is already, so I'll go ahead and I'll leave it to you to go first today.
Yeah, I touched a lot on it at the beginning of the segment, but Kramer Hickok, a Dallas native, making it PGA Tour playoff, 8 playoff holes. It's the second longest playoff in PGA Tour history. So unfortunately fell short, but had a really good payday and really put his name on the map, and hopefully big things to come for Kramer Hickok down in the future here on the PGA Tour. Dallas native, went to Texas, won a national championship, was roommates with Jordan Spieth. So big things come down the pipe for Kramer Hickok. But J-Dub, I got one other good thing that I saw this week. Ready for this? Texas high school football 7-on-7. Hebron comes away on top, winning the 7-on-7 championship. And then you had Denton Geyer, who won the consolation bracket. it's my one good thing because we didn't have 7-on-7 last year. To go along with 7-on-7, you have all these kids who are committing to their colleges. Recruiting season is here. It is a beautiful thing. So that's my other good thing that I saw this week.
Yeah, I think my one good thing of the week is going to have to be just the Olympic trials for Team USA finishing up. Just so many good just races, events, whatever you want to call it. I mean, you had Sydney McLaughlin last night being the first athlete under, what was it? Hold on, let me see the time here. It was under 52. The first female hurdler in the 400 to get under 52 seconds in history. She's only 21 years old. She's been on people's radars well before college. She went to Kentucky. She's been an amazing athlete. Yeah, others just shattering records. And I mean, I think there was a 17-year-old or 15-year-old in the 800 meter swim that got in. The winner for the 200 meters last night was 17. So future's bright for Team USA for sure. Lots of young talent. And yeah, I'm excited for these Olympics, man. It was 1 year of waiting, extra waiting, and I can't wait.
How did Matthew Bowling do? Did we know if he made one of the Olympic teams?
I don't believe so. Keep on chatting, and I'll let you know.
Yeah, I mean, for those who aren't familiar, I mean, Matthew Bowling practically broke the internet 2 years ago, 2019, at the state track and field because of his 4x400 relay team. He was the anchor on that leg that had just come from behind, just amazing. Matthew Bowling was electric in high school. I mean, he was a showstopper. And so Matthew Bowling, he's a sophomore now at Georgia, I believe. And so he was on the Olympic trials, and I just can't remember if he qualified for the team. I think he may have passed day one in at least one of his races. So how did he end up?
So he did not advance in the 100 meters, but he did make it to the finals of the 200, but he came up just short. I mean, that race was insane. I mean, I think it was like 19 something they ended up winning. He ran the 220 seconds, 20.27 seconds, finished sixth. Or sixth in his, I'm sorry, so he didn't make the finals. Sixth in his heat and ninth overall. So he was just 0.04 seconds short of qualifying for the finals. So, I mean, but still young. Still got a long time so this won't be the last time we hear from him. So yeah, just short for Matthew Bowling.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
U.S. When is the Olympics? It's got to be
July. It's starting in July. So, I mean, I can't wait, man. My screen is just going to be, I got. You've seen my stuff. I got a 4 monitor setup, so I got to have 3 of those taken up with the Olympic Games going on. So,
USA. Let's go bring home those medals. Let's go, Team USA.
That's gonna be our show for today, and we didn't even get to talk NBA basketball. You got Ayton not getting in that dunk with 0.9 seconds left. We didn't talk about my Texas baseball team coming up just short of College World Series that starts tonight. But hey, we can talk about those things later. So that is our show for today. Scotty, any last shout outs before we head out?
Nah, I think I'm all good here. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate you. Go check out all of our articles at Vype.com. Follow us on our social media channels, which are listed in the description below.
All right. Well, until next time, that's Scotty T. I'm Wac. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you. Barring any sicknesses, we'll see you next week.